Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala khatam al-anbiya'i wa mursaleen. Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa barak wa sallam. All praise are due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, and peace and blessings be constantly showered upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad, his family, his companions, and all those who call to his way to the Day of Judgment. My beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, it is again a great privilege for me to be here to discuss this very timely issue of holiday myths and the modern day manifestations of shirk within the culture that we are living in here in the West and now in much of the world. And this is a topic which is of critical importance actually to families, to those who are raising children, those who are involved in education, because what is happening in this culture is that the education system, the economic system, and the religious system and the culture, all of it's getting tied in together. So you will find now, whereas in the past many cultural things were separated from your economics, now they will sell products based upon the seasons, based upon certain beliefs or certain culture that they're trying to develop. And so it's all tied in together, and you will see it being actually exported to other parts of the world. And so this subject actually is not only important here, but it actually is important in the Muslim world, because many of our brothers and sisters in the Muslim world are not aware of what is happening. They take things from the West and think that it is all part of progress. And so you answer the phone and you have to say hello, right? But nobody told you to say hello. You can say whatever you want. You can give salams, but the hello comes with the telephone. And similarly, people believe that if you are modern day and if you are in the new culture of the 21st century, there's certain cultural practices that you should have. What we are realizing today is that it is crucial for Muslims now. We're at a crossroads where we have to now be able to distinguish from that which is of benefit and that which is of harm to us. We have to distinguish between the two, and we have to be able to have balance in order to live in this world but be not of the world. So we're inside of the world, we're involved in technology, we're involved in society, but we are not controlled by the society. See, we're not blind consumers. There is something else that controls the way we think, and that is the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the sunnah or the teachings that came through the last Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What we learned yesterday in the last session is that the people in the ancient world structured their beliefs on a number of different issues. There is one stream that structured its belief on Tawheed, on the belief in one God. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to us that prophets, messengers were sent to every nation and every tribe that they should worship Allah and stay away from a Taghut. And Taghut is the one who stands in the place of Allah, the one who wants to be worshipped in the place of Allah, the tyrannical individual or the tyrannical government or lifestyle that blocks you from the Creator. That all of these are shades of this concept of Taghut. So the prophets came to take the people out of this earthly worship and to connect them to the vast eternal worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ruler and creator of the heavens and the earths. So one stream is, we could say, the stream of monotheism. The other stream is the stream of polytheism, where people worshipped many different gods based upon their connection with the heavens. Remember the 3 areas or 4 areas, the connections with the stars and the planets and the movement of the heavens, also with their connection with reproduction, with sexuality and reproduction, and also with the change in the seasons and the growth of plants, right? Plants, life, food. And behind many of these religions, their main god was the sun god. So the sun god being the largest manifestation, most powerful of all creations, then people naturally started to pay obeisance, or they started to worship and give respect to the sun in the place of God. And so this was the struggle. And we defined it in terms of Aqidah. We will define it, we will say Tawheed and Shirk. We will say monotheism, polytheism. But the actual manifestation of Shirk comes through in different cultures because of the sets of beliefs and, for instance, where they live, the food that they eat, the background that they have. This is where polytheism comes in. And so the great scholars who try to understand Tawheed and Shirk and to bring their people out of Shirk, they had to understand what was happening with the culture itself. And you'll see in the Quran itself that it mentions Lat and Uzza and Siwa. It actually mentions the pagan gods of the Mushrikeen of Mecca, giving a context to the revelation. And so everywhere Islam was spread and people began to give the call of one God, they were confronted with a folk culture. They were confronted with beliefs that the people had. And they had to struggle with the people to get them out of their belief system and to help them understand that they should worship the Creator who is behind all belief systems and all created things. And so this is the basis. What we're seeing today is that the Western culture, the culture of Europe itself, which then developed in America, this culture, because of globalization, is actually impacting people everywhere in the world now. This is a phenomenon that did not exist before. Before, if you wanted to have American culture or European culture, you know, in the full sense, you have to get on a boat or travel, you know, for months to the land where the people live. Now, because of technology and because of large corporations who are branding their products, the symbols and the images and the concepts are actually crossing cultural barriers like they never did before. I remember in Ramadan 2 years ago, we came into a Muslim country. I'm not going to say the names, but we came into the Muslim country, went through the immigrations, and then we, as we traveled in the dark, then the lights went, and the first thing we saw was the golden arches, and it said Ramadan Kareem, and it was McDonald's. That was the first thing we saw. So the image of the golden arch, right, that same image that is pumped into the minds of people, and this is a science too, it's a science. It's pumped into our minds. We don't realize what an impact it has upon us. And you look at the younger generation, and you will see the impact that it has upon them, right? This is not done by chance. It is done by design. It is designed like this. And so we understood that in the winter season, okay, remember the changes according to the seasons. So December 21st is what is called the winter solstice. This is when the days are the shortest. In northern countries it gets really cold. This is a drastic change. And so we found out a number of pagan religions based upon this, and how this actually came in contact with Christians who were teaching a belief in one God, sometimes a little bit mixed with the teachings of Paul and other concepts. But when this monotheistic religion met the pagan religion, then something else developed. it morphed. Something came out of it, which was a new way of life, which before was mainly a religious belief, but now, because of globalization, it now stretches everywhere. So it's in your schools, it's in your business, it's in the streets, it's all throughout the society. And it is being propagated to our countries as well. So December 21st, the solstice, the so-called Christmas season, which we found out is not the birth of Isa alayhi salam. It is not the birth of Christ, who was born in the warm weather, but it is the birth of the pagan gods, one called Mithra, and there are other different individuals who they worshipped during that time. What happened with this belief, this new form, a struggle was going on. And periodically, the Christian hierarchy in Europe, recognizing that the pagan nature worship was overtaking their religion, they tried to take a stand. And so in 1647, the Parliament of Britain in England, they banned Christmas. They said it is against the law to celebrate Christmas. Can you imagine this now? Look how powerful Christmas is now. It was against the law in England for anybody to be celebrating Christmas, have Christmas trees, the image of Santa Claus, or anything like this, because they realized that their beliefs were being totally washed away. And so the followers of this nature religion, who wanted to have the celebration of Bacchus and Saturn, this riot type of drunken holiday, right? They needed to do something with it. So they moved much of their celebrations to another date. They found December 31st, the evening of December 31st, which went into January 1st. And that is what we now know as New Year's Eve. They moved it to New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, again, if you go into the history, you will find that New Year's Eve was actually celebrated in the ancient times, that it was what they call Hogmanay. And this was a special celebration done on the 31st. The Romans actually, in the Roman times, they actually had a celebration that they did, this pagan celebration during this time. And the main individual who they focused on was an individual they called Janus. Janus. And Janus was a two-faced god. He has got two faces. One face is spirituality, and another face is materialism. So this is a hypocrite, right? He shows you spirituality, but in actuality, there's gross materialism and immorality coming at the same time. It's like underneath. Okay, so this is this concept of the two-faced God that came in during this time, this celebration of Hogmanay, which they declared to be the New Year's. But if we look honestly into the culture of Europe itself, if we look into the culture behind this society, January 1st, according to the nature religions, was not the New Year's. January 1st is not New Year's. Now that's a dangerous thing to say, right? You might put me in jail. How can you, Abdullah Hakim, say that January 1st is not New Year's Day? Let's do the counting. It doesn't take any rocket science. Do the counting. Go back to the month of September, right? And let's count in Latin numbers. If you look at September and you count in Latin numbers, you will see that September is from septum. And septum is 7. Right? So September means the 7th month of the year. Octo, right, is the 8th, like octagon, right? 8-sided figure. This is not rocket science. So October is the 8th. Novum is 9. And Decem or Decem, this is 10. So December was not the 12th month of the year, it's the 10th. In Latin, December means 10. You see? So January was 11th, and February was 12th. The new year actually is supposed to begin, according to nature worshippers, in March, because that's when the spring begins. You see, that's when new life came about. And so it was at that time that they would celebrate in the this Janus occasion, in the Hogmanay. They would again, it was another illusion, right? It's supposed to be spirituality, but in reality it was something else. And on that occasion they would celebrate it by drinking alcohol, by having adulterous relationships, right? It's a riotous event. So because they couldn't do it on December 25th, they shifted it to January 1st, or the evening, December 31st, New Year's Eve. And that's what you're going to witness. You're going to witness this. What happens? And in some countries, even far away from Europe itself, that evening, New Year's Eve, it is a riot. Right? Everything is loose on New Year's Eve. That whole concept of duality, the concept of two faces, is something which is really serious for us. The Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said, "Tajidu min shirar an-nas yawm al-qiyamah inda Allahi dhal wajhain, alladhi ya'ti ha'ula'i biwajhin wa ha'ula'i biwajh." He said, you will find the most despicable person in the sight of Allah on the day of judgment is the one with two faces. He comes to one group with one face, and he comes to another with another face. It's like a hypocrite. Okay? And this concept now is a dangerous one for us, because we have been thrown into a serious challenge. And it starts with having to go into the world and make money and survive in the society. And then we have the masjid. If we lived in the lands of Islam, you know, where Islam is practiced, then your job can be connected to your belief, in the sense that most of the jobs and the holidays in the lands which are connected with Islam culturally, you'll see Jumu'ah as a holiday. So you don't have to ask permission from your boss to go to make Jumu'ah Salat, right? It's a holiday. The whole purpose of Jumu'ah is to go to the Jama'ah, right? To listen, you know, to the Imam, to make the Salah with the group. It is an Eid for us, right? But it is not an Eid in this society. So we have to develop a different personality in order to survive and then keep our Islam. So some cases, you know, this dual personality develops. And so the person makes a business card, and instead of saying Muhammad, he said, I'm Mo. Just call me Mo. Instead of Ali, he said, just call me Al. And he writes it on the card. And that's okay, because sometimes people can't pronounce our names. But if Ali turns into Al when he's on the job or when he's at school, now we have a problem. This is Dhul Wajhain. This is the one with two faces. He has one when he's around Muslims, one when he's in religious occasions, and another one when he's in the society. So this all comes from this concept of Janus, which is the two faces, right? The two faces. So now we're moving through January, and after this next section, I'm going to open up the floor for questions, because I put a lot to you from the last class, right? But we're moving into January now, okay? The so-called beginning of the new year. It's not the beginning of the new year, but we've been tricked into believing that it is, right? Islamically, it's not anyway for Islam anyway. We have a lunar calendar. But if you follow the solar calendar, you're not in the beginning of the year. We're in the dead of the winter. And January and February are the coldest months of the year. So that's not new life, right? We have to struggle with the winter now for the next 2 months until we get a break, inshallah, when March starts to come, right? Then things start to break and life starts to change. And so when February came in, when the month of February came in, then this was a time, you know, when the celebrations were made, special celebrations in this month of February are organized around the so-called gods of birth and fertility. Okay, and this is where the name February comes from, right? Februatus. So it is a so-called goddess of birth, a goddess of fertility, right? The Romans had Juno and Pan, right, that they were celebrating it around. So they had a special ceremony that they called the Lupercalia. They called the Lupercalia. And the Lupercalia is the celebration of the wolf. It's a celebration of the wolf. And so the Lupercalia was, they would gather together, the Romans especially, and it is a time they're forcing children, childbearing. They're forcing it. And so they have a special fertility ceremony, and the women actually go under this wolf skin and are beat with a wolf skin, and the names are put into a box, and the men choose the names from the box, and they take that woman and they have illegal relationship with the woman. This was a ceremony amongst the Romans. But when the Christian church took over now, they banned the ceremony. They said, no, this is not right, this is wrong, we cannot do this. But the lovers of the Lupercalia, wanted their ceremony to continue, right? They wanted it to continue. And the date of the Lupercalia was February 14th. That is the date. But now the Christian concept is coming in. How can you now deal with the two? Okay, they dealt with the two by using the name of another Christian bishop, a Christian leader, and this person's name was Valentine. And Valentine was a Roman priest. He's living in the 3rd century AD. And the Romans at that time, struggling to maintain their empire, they're losing it. But they're struggling. They had forced military. They would force young men to join the military. Okay? Inscription. So they would inscript you into the military. And then when the soldiers were out fighting, they wouldn't let them get married. And so Valentine then, he loved young people. And he struggled for the young people, for the rights for them to be married. And when the Emperor Claudius II found out about this, he jailed Valentine. That's how their story goes. And Valentine's in jail, and the jail keeper became so close to Valentine that Valentine got to meet his family, and the jail keeper's daughter was blind. And according to their teachings, through a miracle, the girl's sight was restored. And so Valentine wrote a note to them, the final note before he was executed by the emperor, and he signed it, "From your Valentines." Okay, that's where it comes from. So they took that story, a so-called saint again, right? And they took the events of the Lupercalia, which is based upon the sexuality, the adultery, the fornication, right, the drinking, right, and they put them together until they came up with now what we know as Valentine's Day. When is Valentine's Day? February 14th. February 14th. That is the day of the Lupercalia. So this is how it comes about. And the danger of this is that now Muslims, we're living in this society, right? And so, you know, the Muslim boy, he might look and say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, from your Valentine Zainab, right? Or from your Valentine, you know, Ahmed. And he sends a Valentine to his girl. So the Valentine concept comes in. And this is a dangerous concept because what they are doing now, they are literally destroying us from the inside. They're destroying the whole society, which is crazy because the whole society is going to be ruined. And this is the growth of what is called pornography. Pornography right now is one of the largest incomes Billions of dollars are being made through pornography. It is the most lucrative form of entertainment in existence right now. And what it is doing, it is developing a concept which is called erotica. And erotica comes from the Greek little goddess called Eros. The Romans called him Cupid. You know Cupid, right? Valentine's Day, Cupid shoots the arrow and you fall hopelessly in love. This is what is called erotica. And the Greek and Roman art, whenever you see their depictions of people or things, they are always into this erotica type of thing. And they have put it in the movies, they have put it into everything in our culture now. It permeates our culture. You watch the movie, people are going to movies, and they're out in space fighting against aliens, and somebody falls in love. They're under the ocean fighting creatures, somebody falls in love. They're playing basketball or baseball, somebody falls in love. They're solving a mystery thing, somebody falls in love. Why is it that every movie almost, somebody falls in love? That's erotica. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has clearly told us, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. Allah told us in Surah Al-Isra, verse 32, and do not approach zina. Don't come close to fornication and adultery, because it is an abomination and it will destroy everything in your life. It will destroy everything. And this is interesting, this verse, because usually you'll see the nahi or the prohibition saying, do not take interest. La taqulu riba. Don't take interest. La taqtulu nafs allati harram Allahu illa bilhaq. Do not kill an innocent person. This one here, it says la taqrabu zina. Don't come near it. See the difference in the two? One is saying don't do it, but the other one says don't come near it. Why you have the difference? Because in one of them, killing and stealing and most of these acts are something which is hateful to a human being. Your fitra, your natural self, does not like to see somebody killed. It's a horrendous thing. Okay? But zina, the relationship of male and female, our bodies are created for this. We are naturally created for this. And so therefore, we are set for this in order to procreate, so that our species will continue. That's the animal side of human beings, outside of our spirit, our ruh. So we're set for this. So when adultery and fornication comes or anything near it, your body is now preparing itself. Right? It's naturally set for this. So then Allah said, don't come near it. He didn't say don't do it. He said don't approach it. Because if you approach it and come near it, you can naturally fall into it. You see? So this organized way of breaking down the limits between male and female, the limits between human beings, it is a dangerous act which is being done. And this is a concept of haya, the concept of modesty and limits. So we all know our limits, especially between male and female. This haya is so important that the Prophet ﷺ said, Innal haya min al iman, that this modesty, it is part of your faith. He even said in another tradition, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاسْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. If you don't have haya, then do what you want to do. In other words, you're capable of doing anything. If you have no limits, you're capable of doing anything. So the evil one, wal-iyadhu billah, and this society, right, now, or the people behind, it's not everybody in this society, by the way. There's a lot of good people. But the ones who want to destroy it from the inside, right, they set now the system, the culture is being set now in order that people will lose the control of themselves. What happens after that? Families break down. They say now 1 in 3 women in North America will have an abortion by 45 years old. 1 in 3 in this society, right? And you will see that when that child that they are having, in many cases, right, it is actually not a rape on the outside. Many times it's an individual within the family. Right? So this so-called unwanted pregnancy, this is actually destroying the society. What is happening now, and this is one of the dangerous things about Muslims, right? That's a dangerous thing about Muslims. Why? You look at Germany and many countries, it may even be here too. The general population, they are actually at zero. There are more people dying than being born. In some European countries, there are many more people dying than being born. Whereas with Muslims, right, it is the opposite. Right? There's large amount being born. That's why in Germany, in Belgium and Holland, 50% of the babies born in the hospitals are Muslims. Right now in Holland, 1 out of every 2 babies in the hospital. You go to the hospital, there's all Muslims in the hospital, right? Having babies. So that's scary, right? That's why we don't have weapons of mass destruction. Our weapon of mass destruction is the babies we're having, right? Samosas or something like that. There's no weapons of mass destruction. What it is their fear of the change going on in the society. Enter Valentine's Day. Make it Islamic. Let it be acceptable. Let us be involved in as well. If we have no control over our television, over the internet, if the young people are not taught control over the handheld devices, then erotica will enter their minds. And they will lose their feelings. And this is why it is happening in our society. Right? Because of this concept in the mind. When the limits are broken down, right, the whole concepts change, and it weakens the family, which will weaken the whole of the Islamic society. So this is a very serious issue that is happening to us on the inside. And one might look at it and say, okay, no, that's just a little story, and it's just an innocent Valentine's, so what? But what it leads to is what Allah said, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. Do not approach adultery and fornication. It's an abomination, and it will destroy everything in your life. It will destroy you. And we see so many ways that people are being destroyed. So this is how the movement of the year is going now. We started sort of at the end of the year, because we're in it, right? And we moved now through January, and we moved into February. And inshallah, we'll go further on in the next period. We want to go into the spring and the fall and complete the year. So you will see the culture which is moving on us and moving in everything that is there. What I want to do now is to open up the floor for any feedback or questions that you may have, especially practical questions. How do you survive? What do you do? You're in this seasons now, right? I want to open up the floor for any questions to see where you want to take it. Yes, brother. تفضل. ايوه
الشيخ مسلك يتكلم بهذا الاسلوب.
ايوه.
ولا يتكلم عن نواقض الطهاره الوضوء ودخول الحمام. السؤال هو الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لما كان يتخاطب مع المشركين هل كان يسلم عليهم؟ ما التحيه التي كان يتعامل بها؟
Okay, the question is that when the Prophet ﷺ dealt with the mushrikeen, the polytheists, the other people, did he give salams to them? And this is a question that many of us have, that we fall into in this society. Especially with somebody who may be your friend, right? Who might know what our greetings are. So our salams is, assalamu alaikum, right? And we try to say wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, we add onto it, when another person, is giving salams. And it is reported that in the Medina period, that some of the Yahud would even, try to, to insult the Muslims, and they would say, instead of salams, they would say Sam alaikum, which is like poison be upon you. Okay, so the answer that they would give is wa alaikum, right, to those individuals that they knew were coming like this, right, wa alaikum. So whatever they gave to you, you're saying on you too. Okay, but the general response to people Even the Quran speaks about if the Jahiluna, approach you, qalu salama. So the general approach is salam. Okay? So you can say salam or peace or, give greetings. But the formula of wa alaykum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, that is for Muslims. So we keep that formula for the Muslims. But in terms of dawah, because our main mission here is dawah, right? Not just to live and eat food, right? To spread Islam. Then, our main mission is to give dawah, so, use hikmah, use wisdom, and gives, if that person knows your greeting is, assalamu alaikum, then, you can say salam. It's not, we don't give the formula we would give to a Muslim. But, give salams to people. Spread salams in society. Okay? Mafhum? Mafhum. Any other question? General? Yes, brother.
Yeah, in this society, obviously, we live amongst our own people who do intermarriages between Muslims and Christians.
Yeah.
And in situations like that, when we're invited to Christmas parties, and it's a relative
Okay.
who's married a Christian woman, for example,
Yeah.
if you decline, then we don't believe in this, you create friction within the family.
Yeah.
If you go, you participate in the events that take place during such occasions. It's a challenge, and it's very difficult. If you do it, how do you explain to your children who experience the same thing in school, who have friends
Yeah.
who are Christians? How do you...
Well, we have to be very clear. Our beliefs have to be very clear. And to the children, when we explain it, and this is why I'm bringing this information, right? For a long time, we just talk straight. What is Aqidah? What is Shari'a? People are having all these other problems with their children, right? That's the reason why I put this together in this. This is all the information which is going to be available for you, right? That's the reason why we put this together. Okay? How do we interact? You have to keep in mind there's two things. One is that we do not want to be involved in shirk. So anything that is involved in the shirk that they are involved in, we cannot be involved in that. Secondly, we cannot be involved in eating of the pork, lahm al-khinzir, or drinking alcohol. And in some cultures in Christmas, they have the fruit cake. In the Caribbean, they make the fruit cake and put a little rum inside of it, right? Or you'll see puddings that also have wine or rum and things like that. So we cannot eat these things that are haram as well. For some people, what the Christmas occasion is, especially since religion is really changing now, for some people it's just an occasion where the family comes together. Just an occasion, shukran. Just an occasion where the family comes together. So when we explain clearly to people what we believe in, if they don't want to accept it and they're going to have ham on the table and they're going to be drinking alcohol and whatnot, then we have to say, I'm sorry, I can't attend. But if they are, intelligent enough and they say, no, we'll have halal food, and we're having an occasion, and there's no real religious ceremony that goes on, we can attend as family members, and then leave. The problem is, the question that may come up to you is, and this is a real fitna for some people, is the giving of the gifts. Christmas gift, right? And there's nothing wrong with accepting a gift, by the way. If somebody gives you a gift, there's nothing wrong with accepting the gift, because the Prophet ﷺ would accept hadiyah. Of course, unless the gift is like a fifth of whiskey or something. In some job, they'll give you some whiskey, right, for your, the job. So we're not going to accept that. But we can accept the gift, but instead of, we need to now show them we have a different way. So we need to show them that we have our own way. So maybe on Eid day, if it's your relative or a close neighbor, you might give them something on Eid day. That's our day, right? Give them some food, give them some sweets, whatever on our occasion. So they see our occasion. So we shouldn't really be involved directly in this whole fantasy, because this is not real. We have shown here that all this occasion is false. It's not even real. It's an invented occasion. And we need to try to gently explain to them, what is our position, in this, but the real struggle comes is when it's a neighbor right next door to you, or when it is a family member. So you have to use your wisdom. And many of us who have accepted Islam, and we actually have come from Christian families, this is a serious struggle. And to say to a person who embraces Islam, leave your family 100%, don't talk to your mother and your father, that's the wrong advice. You continue to talk to your mother and your father, but you don't follow them in their jahiliyyah. If they tell you to do something which is shirk or against Islam, we don't do that. But you still love your mother. You still love your father, right? It is the shirk, that they're doing, the kufr, that's what we don't like. But that's your mother, right? That's your father. These are your people. So in the spirit of dawah, right, we attend, if you can avoid it completely, avoid it. Bring them over your house. That's the best thing, because all these other things may be around, right? And based upon how much they practice or how much they will accommodate your Islam, you may, attend, they're going to have halal food, there's no religious ceremonies, nothing like this, then in that case, you may be able to, just, go there, show your face, whatever, and leave. This is something which is not cut in stone, right? It takes a lot of wisdom. It takes a lot of wisdom to deal with this. There's a group of Christians called Jehovah's Witnesses. And the Jehovah's Witnesses go into the schools. The Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe in Christmas. And they will openly tell you they don't believe in it. And they will go to the school teacher and say, don't have no Christmas celebration with my child. And they're Christians, right? Because they know what it is, right? They've studied the history. So what about us as Muslims now, who have the true deen? And now you have the proof now. So we need to be in touch, with our schools. And this is the question which comes here. It says kids going to public school are taught about Valentine's Day, Christmas, how to teach the kids to avoid this. Number one, we need to understand what it is ourselves. If you don't understand what it is, you can't even talk to your child. If your child is coming to you and say, I wanted Christmas Day, I like Santa Claus. And you're looking at you saying, like, Santa Claus? Who's Santa Claus? And you see the person with a white beard and thing and say, oh, this is Shaikh. He's Shaikh he's from Turkey. No, it's not a Shaikh, man. Santa Claus in Germany was Shaitan. He is the devil in Germany, right? But if you don't know that he is the image of the devil, or the image of used in Germany and other places, for the evil demon of the north, you can't even say this to your child. So the first thing is to understand what it is. And then sit them down and explain to them, how, the people in this society have gone astray. And to show them what, our Islamic position is. We believe in Isa, alayhi salam, as a great mighty messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We believe he was born without a father. But show them when he was really born, you see. Through education now, our child, can actually be able to handle this. And I would recommend go to the teacher and explain to the teacher, with all respects, to your religion, we don't celebrate this, right? We don't celebrate this. And many teachers are now being trained not to force the culture on all, because there's Hindus and Buddhists and other religions as well who don't celebrate Christmas, right? So we have to be strong enough to speak out, right? But the more you understand about it, the more you understand, you have the information, is the better that you are able to actually deal with this. It said, regarding raising children, we can afford Islamic schooling. We can't afford Islamic schooling, so we have to settle for public. I can't afford to do homeschooling either. How to raise children Islamically? Well, this is where the parents have to spend a lot of time. So, and lead by example. If the child sees you getting up for Fajr, the child sees the mother covered, the child sees the father, practicing Islam, then it will be easy for the child to practice Islam. But if the parents are not practicing Islam, then how do you expect your child to pray if you don't pray? You see? How do you expect the child to control his eyes, right, when the father can't control his eyes with the handheld device? So the beginning, of the tarbiyah of the children is by example, right? Then the question says, how do I know the limits of what to buy for kids' entertainment? These toys, these cartoons. again, we have to be aware of what these things are. And we have to know, and I'll tell you, these cartoons, the children's television programs, are actually more dangerous than the regular programs. There is racism, shirk, all types of things coming in the cartoons. And your child may be there, they're like worshiping gods, literally. And they worship some of these figures, you know, they dream about these figures. They become greater than life. And you ask them about companions of the Prophet ﷺ, and they can't even name 2 or 3 of them. So this is where we need to have more events, alternative events. You know, bring out the youth, have camps. This is why here in the masjid and other communities, people are trying to establish camps. Have youth camps during the winter season. This is the time. Get them. You know, show the alternatives. You know, have a way, because otherwise they want to enjoy themselves and they will be pulled toward the entertainment of the society. Another question is, if we are working with Christians and not willing to attend their Christmas party, our co-workers request you to switch shifts duty with them so that they can attend and celebrate and drink. Should we say to them, should we say, if not, okay, I'm not sure what the ending. Okay, so what it's saying is that now you're on the job and we don't celebrate. Now they might invite you to a Christmas party. Okay? And you can tell them that, you know, I'm a Muslim, I don't drink. I'm not involved in these things. It's a different lifestyle. Okay? But maybe on your job they might say one day, okay, we're going to half day today, it's a party, in-house party. Right? Now there's nothing wrong with sitting around and eating food. People realize now there's other cultures. But we have to be very clear about alcohol and swine, pork, and these things. You have to be known as a Muslim. If they don't know you as a Muslim, if they think you're not Ali, you're Al, you know, so give Al some whiskey. Right? Give Mo some pork. If they don't know your name, if they don't know who you are, right, then you can't, it's hard to explain it to them. But if they know who you are, you know, then you can, you know, say to them very clearly, I'm not into this. Okay? And what some Muslims do is on Christmas and New Year's, you know, they may even fill in and take certain shifts that other people don't take because we don't believe in it. So when you have your Eid, now you can say, I want the day off. Now I took the shift on Christmas or New Year's. Now I want my Eid off, so you take it for me. You see? Because that's the day I want it. The problem is many Muslims on Eid day, they come out to the Eid and then they go back to work. So what are the children supposed to think about the Eid day? They go back to work, man. Take the day off. It's supposed to be a special occasion. You're visiting your families, you're spreading salams. The children remember that day. They should remember the Eid day. Right? That is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, the Eids. Right? So we have to use our wisdom. But our religion has to be very clear. Now.
ليش المسلم يغير اسمه إذا صار ولا أليكس
أيوة.
مع أنه الأجنبي إذا سافر إلى البلاد العربية لا يغير اسمه من جون إلى أحمد ومن جورج إلى عبد الله يبقى على اسمه.
نعم.
بس المسلم يغير اسمه هناك. ليش؟ لماذا؟
خوفا من المجتمع. Well, you know, so this is, you know, why do the Muslims change their name, you know, when they'll come to our countries and not change their name? Okay? Right? There's no reason why we should change their name. You should say what your name is. Right? And not be ashamed of it. You know, and this is, you know, because these are beautiful names that we have. Right? Why should we change them? But it's the pressure of society. This society is pressurizing us so much that people are feeling the pressure. Okay, but now, you know, is the time, you know, to stand up, be who you are, because you can't hide anyway, right? Some Muslims say, well, I will hide myself, I'll call myself Mo, I will hide. No, they see you anyway. As long as you have a handheld device, they're watching you. So you can't hide anyway. Anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to us with His knowledge than our jugular vein anyway. So why should we be hiding from the society itself? The question is, if a mother hugs her teenage son for the purpose of keeping him safe from the fitna, boyfriend or girlfriend, kissing, hugging, is this permissible? Okay, I'm not sure of this question. There's nothing wrong with embracing your teenage, boy, and girl, but not you wouldn't be embracing them in the way that they kiss and hug. That's another fitna that you're putting the child into. And but really, we're close within our society. Again, this is haya, right? Teach haya, and haya is not weakness. Haya is strength. It's like nobility. So when a man is around a woman, right, not from their family, you know how to, you give limits, right? It's you know how to move. A woman knows how to move. That's nobility. That used to be nobility in this society. It's nothing to be ashamed of, right? It's when you break down that nobility, when the child sees you, right? But if the child sees you're a hypocrite, you're in the masjid and the Muslim sister comes, and the brother's got his head down and he's walking into the wall as a Muslim sister, and then he goes outside and he sees a non-Muslim. Hello, Jane. Hi, Sally. Wait a minute, man. Why are you a hypocrite? You don't even want to recognize the presence of a Muslim woman, but you're shaking hands with Jane and Sally. You're a hypocrite. You see? Show the nobility. Show nobility. In the same way that you will lower your gaze with a Muslim sister. You'll give her salams. Lower your gaze. Right? Then lower your gaze with Jane and Sally too. You see? So it's that balance. It's the balance which is so important. So the whole aspects of Islamic way of life. The more you talk to your teacher. If your children are in public school, become part of the PTA, Parent Teachers Association. Talk to the teacher. Do not leave your child alone. Don't leave your child alone. Because they will make your child into a problem child. That's what they do. They say that child these people are no good, and your child will be trapped inside of that school. So it's crucial for us maintain a relationship with the society, protect your child if they are in the public school. Try to get them into homeschooling or into an Islamic school if possible, right? If they have to go to public school, monitor them every time they come home from school. Ask them questions. What happened to you today? Right? Watch them very closely, especially when they become teenagers. Watch their habits. It's very important. Question. Yeah, so the question is, what type of resources do we have that help teach, train Muslims even how to talk to your children and how to. This is a very important point that you're making, and there are Muslims who are actually trained in this, but unfortunately in many of the masjids they don't have any way to give to the community, and this is an aspect that our masjids, our community has to go into, dealing with the youth problems. Learning, how to address the society and creating this alternative culture, where we learn how to enjoy ourselves. That's why the basketball leagues that are here and the soccer leagues, right? This is a good way of expression, right? It's a good way. We need to have more interactions with the youth, right? And then through that, we learn how to interact in an Islamic way. And those people who have the skills need to actually be in touch with the leadership here, as to how to address these issues and problems, that our community is facing. We need to call in sometimes even a specialist on drugs. What is illegal drugs, right? To prevent youth from falling into the drugs. What happens to a person who becomes a drug addict, right? What are some of the different problems in the society? Right? These are the types of workshops which would be very important for the youth in dealing with this. The question here, as we come to a conclusion, can you accept a turkey from a non-Muslim as a Christmas gift? Okay, like I said, the Prophet ﷺ did accept gifts. We have to try to be out of this as much as possible. However, he did accept gifts. And, if your friend is close to you and they understand you and you've explained Islam, then they may come to you, they may give you a halal turkey, because you can actually get halal turkeys, right? But otherwise, there's different rulings in terms of meat, and I'm not a mufti, but really what I follow is I eat halal meat, which is slaughtered in the name of Allah by Muslims. Outside of that, you're in shaky grounds. So if somebody's coming to you with a turkey or coming to you with food and whatever it is, unless you really know that person and where they get it from, we don't really. You have to graciously not be eating that food or accepting that food, because you don't know what's inside the food that is being given to you today in this society. You have to be more certain, about what is happening. So what is coming out of this so far is that we need to have, number one, in order to really understand this situation that we're in, we need basira, we need insight, we need knowledge about what is happening. So the more we understand this phenomena, is the more we are able to, gain insight into, what is actually happening around us, and the more we understand our religion, we gain hikmah, we gain the wisdom, to put things in the proper place. And that is what we need now, to put things in the proper perspective. Okay? I leave you with this. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. We want to let you know, okay, that all these things that I'm giving you, it's a lot of information, right? So therefore, this is the text, and this text is going to be available to you. So we're going to make this available to you, inshallah. Afterwards afterwards it'll be announced to you for those who may be leaving now. Billahi tawfiq.